I think millennial managers are the best managers. We won't micromanage you and check if you're at your desk at all times. If you want to go to a doctor's appointment in the middle of the day, we won't say your thing. We're thoughtful and empathetic, and we actually ask you how you feel about your job. We are the best. What can possibly go wrong?
Jamie, what's up? I'm sorry. Late lunch, I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to play catch up. Give me one sec. Okay, monthly check-ins, everyone's favorite, right? No, trust me, these are just as annoying for us as they are for you guys. It's just nothing but paperwork that doesn't get anything accomplished. But who gives a shit about efficiency, right?
I'm a millennial manager. I don't care when you do your work, just do it.
Oh my god, Ripley, you're 6 minutes late. What the fuck? I'm just kidding. That'd be me if I cared, though.
Okay, but you're just working on the Fisher account right now, right? All right, you're good? You're not overwhelmed or anything? Your bandwidth's good? Okay, good. If it is, just let me know. I'll offload some stuff and I'll give it to Roger.
The last one almost made me personally offended, but let's break it down. I'm 33 and I'm a millennial. If you're a little bit older or a little bit younger than me, then you still fall in the same category. And although there are a lot of hot takes on managers, millennials, I am convinced that we are actually not bad, especially compared to some of the managers that we used to have, the ones who are right now 40, 50, 60. Based on what I see in the internet, in TikTok specifically, very reliable, but still, it kind of feels that there is a consensus that millennial managers are more on a chilled, relaxed side. And to a certain extent, I can relate to that. A lot of managers my age were kind of traumatized by a very specific corporate cultures, very strict, bureaucratic, and they never had a manager that would treat them as a human being, and the dynamic was very toxic and troublesome. So on one hand, not all of us actually want to be managers because they kind of never had a good role model in front of them. But on the other hand, when they become managers, they really don't want to be that manager that they used to have. So they kind of want to be a cool manager, you know, chilled manager, a manager that you would consider as a friend, as a bro. And this is where I see one of the biggest mistakes managers, millennials do. With this idea of being cool manager, they go totally overboard. By the way, these all generational groupings, Gen Zs, millennials, boomers, they're all not absolute. And even if when I observe managers of the same age as me and even working in similar companies, depending on which country they're from, they're very different. So like with a grain of salt. And yeah, some of the things are still common across the majority. Now, what are the consequences of these managers trying to be a cool friend type of manager to heart? Now, just for a sec, imagine yourself under a manager like that, like in this TikTok I showed you before. It is awkward. It feels a little bit too much, like the person's trying too hard. It feels excessive. It is a little bit cringe, like just a little bit or not a little bit. So it kind of even maybe has an opposite effect just because it is like so too much. It does not feel authentic. It doesn't feel sincere. If I would have a manager who tried that hard, I would be a little bit, I don't know, suspicious just because it does not feel natural. But apart from that, apart from the cringe factor, there are actually 3 ways how it can be damaging. And the first one is sometimes managers like that try to force their people to have fun. You know, they encourage everyone to have a team building every week. Let's eat pizza together. Let's all sit. Let's have fun. Let's have fun. Even when people just don't want it. And I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm not saying that team buildings or having pizza all together as a team is bad. I'm saying that because the manager is trying so hard, it kind of removes the ability to read the room and see if your team actually wants it or not. For example, it is very different for people who are willing to hang out even without you doing anything, or for example, people who are having so many commitments outside of work that they just at that point in their life or like they're just not interested in all that stuff. They want to go to work, they want to do the job, and they want to leave. And there is also nothing wrong with that. There are people who are busy like that. There are introverted people. There are people who just don't enjoy this kind of dynamic. Also, there are people who are intimidated by management, especially in certain cultures. They are unable to say no if you tell them, hey, let's go and have a drink, although they maybe don't really want to. And in the end of the day, managers like that are not respected. it because like you are irritating them, you're not helping them. It's all about how a manager listens to the team, reads the room, and thinking about also not being too much with this. The second reason how this mistake is damaging is managers like that are often incapable to show their team an actual professional working support. They're saying, I don't care how you did it, unless you did it, I will not micromanage you. Even in the cases where it would have been nice. For example, if you have a newcomer in the team who needs an onboarding, who needs a lot of guidance, it's not a sign of a distrust. It's just at some point, some people need more and less guidance from you as a manager. And if you're not providing that, it's not a sign of you trusting them. You're actually setting them for failure. A job of a manager is to give their teams clear expectations and when needed, actually help them to do the job. But because for these managers, it kind of feels like micromanaging, like I don't trust you, they are practically incapable of doing that even when it's needed. The reason number 3 how this is damaging is, well, first of all, when you trash someone behind their backs, it is unprofessional. Why people even do that? Because when you want to establish a bond with other person, you really want to be the school manager, you want to have a friend connection with someone in your team, it is easier to bond over hating someone. That's why some people choose to go that path, which is, you can say, easy, but it has a lot of consequences. And also there are managers who are kind of compromising all corporates in the eyes of their employees. Which, if you are an experienced manager, you understand what I mean, and like, you just don't do that. They're saying, oh, this is just useless rules, it doesn't make any sense, even when it actually does. Again, because it's an easy way to bond over something. It feels like a way for you to be relatable. In the end, managers like that kind of struggle with, for example, constructive feedback or coaching properly their employees. Because especially if you're not that experienced, it feels like it breaks this friendly dynamic between you. Basically, they don't feel the line between being professional and being human. Now, what do we do about it? I will give you 4 things. Each one of those I still do myself when I notice that I fall into the same trap again. Number 1, and I'm sorry I'm telling you that, we need to learn to accept that we cannot be friends with our teams at work. We can be in good relationships, in great relationships. We can help each other. We can even know each other outside work. But when you work, your job as a manager is to keep the boundary between you and your team. And it's not bad. And it doesn't mean that you need to be like your asshole manager that you used to have 10 years ago. No, you have to look for a healthy boundary, for a healthy balance between one and another. Number 2, be very open to feedback, because a lot of these problems occur when managers don't properly listen to their teams, they don't sense the temperature in the room, they're not actively asking if this is too little or this is too much. That's why they can continue being too much without adjusting it. So I understand that this is one of the most sensitive feedbacks that you can ever receive. And the skill that you need to develop is not to get upset about it, because it is normal. It's okay. We all tend to go, okay, a lot of people from our generation tend to go a little bit overboard in this area of, like friendliness. So just be aware about that and, like calmly adjust your behavior. Number 3, and for me, this is the biggest one, fight anxiety that occurs when you feel that someone in the team does not like you. Oh my God, this is even painful to talk about. It is so painful when you have someone in your team who is, very explicitly cold towards you, especially if you're just starting as a manager, especially if you're not experienced in this dynamic. You constantly kind of doubting yourself, okay, am I doing something wrong? What is happening here? And this anxiety will drive you nuts. So I'm here to tell you, it is okay. It is okay. Your employees, people who work for you, sometimes hate their managers just because their managers are the ones to give them stuff to do, the ones who give them work. It is okay. Don't take it personally and learn the professional boundary, or balance between one extreme and another. And if, for example, you already have Gen Zs in the team, I went through a lot of research and made a dedicated video on how to work with Gen Zs in your team. So I will see you there.